Hey, and welcome to another Tech Tuesday. This is Chad from Ascension Worship. This week we've got another video that you're going to want to share with your worship team. This week we're talking about chord memorization.
Hey, what do you say? Yes, it's that time again. It's Tech Tuesday.
So this week I'm going to be teaching you the very basics of the number system. So if you're not familiar with the number system, it's a way of learning and memorizing worship music, and it works for a lot of music, but it's really common in worship, where you're not looking at music as being absolute. So this chord to this chord to this chord. Instead, you're looking at it as being relative. So this chord, which is this far from my root, which is this far from my root. So you're looking at patterns more so than actual letters. So it's going to make sense as we go. But once you do this, it'll make it a lot easier for you and for your team to memorize music. There's something special that happens when you don't have that barrier of a music stand between you and the people that you're trying to lead. Some people argue with me on this. I'm just saying try it. The arguments I've gotten have been very good, because what they've been saying is that, well, I don't have time to memorize the music. My team doesn't have time to memorize the music. You know, they're volunteers, they're not paid, all these reasons, which I understand, but I've been a part of many churches, big, small, paid, unpaid, bass player, sound tech, just going there. I've seen all different styles of worship leadership, and there is something special that happens when you memorize the music, and there are some easier ways to do it than just trying to power through a whole bunch of sheet music and memorize all the letters, and then someone gets sick and you end up having to change keys, and now you got to relearn the songs. So I'm going to teach you the number system. It'll make that a lot easier for you. What I'm going to teach you today is way watered down music theory. So there's definitely more levels to this, but this is going to be somewhere to get you started. I'm going to teach you how to start figuring out what the chord progressions are for your songs. Once you've done that, you'll start to recognize the patterns that tend to happen a lot in a lot of these modern worship songs. So we're gonna look at our screen here, just to kind of give you an idea of how I would do this. Whenever you go to learn a song, even if it's a song you already know, print out the sheet music, and then you're simply gonna write out the key, you're gonna write out a scale, a very simplified scale, starting with the key that you're in. So let's say that we're in the key of C, which is, all the white keys on the keyboard. We're just going to write out on our paper C, D, E, F, G. If you're really new to music, it doesn't go higher than G. It goes from A to G. So once we get to G, we start over, A, B, and then C, which is, again, our root. So this is our key that we're in. It's in the key of C, so we started and ended with C. Now we're going to go and just apply numbers to that. So just 1 to 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we're back to our root, which is, again, our 1. So the key we're in happens to be no sharps, no flats. So we're going to keep things really simple. No matter what key we're in, we're talking no sharps, no flats. We're not talking minor or major or diminished yet. We're just keeping this really bare bones, just so you can start to learn the concept, and then the rest of that will come in time. So anytime that you have a song, what I would have you do, now that you know, okay, a C is a 1, anytime you see a C in your sheet music, I just want you to write a 1 over it. Anytime you see a D, or really it would be a D minor, you would put a 2 over it, and so on and so forth. And then once you do that, you'll start to recognize the patterns. So I've got 2 songs for us that we're going to try this with and see how this works. And then we'll do some audio examples and just have a little bit of fun with it. And then you can try it out with your music. So I've got 2 songs we're going to listen to. They are in different keys. They're in different tempos. So here's the first one. If you're watching on the screen, I will move my cursor along with the chords, and you'll be able to kind of hear what's going on. So this first song is going to be G, D, E minor, C, and we're going to repeat the whole thing. So G, D, E minor, C, and we'll end up ending on the G. So that sounds like this. So that was our first song. Our second song, again, another worship song, is in the key of E. It's a different tempo. It's E, B, C sharp minor, A, and then back to the E. And again, we'll repeat this as we go. So here we go. This is song 2. Cool. So we've heard the 2 songs. Now let's try what I was just talking about. So we're going to write out the oversimplified scale for each of these songs. We're going to apply the numbers, and then we'll compare. So we're going to start with the key of G. So again, I would print out the sheet music. I'd just write out 1 through 7 on there, and I would start making my scale. So starting with the key of G, G, again, we start over to A, B, C, D, E, F, and then back to G, so start and end with G. So now that we have that, I'm going to go over my entire sheet music, which in this case is just these, 5 chords. Anytime I see a G, I'm going to write a 1 over it. So we got a G here. We got a G here. So next chord is a D. I can look and see a D is a 5. So I'm going to write a 5 over that. Then we got an E minor, E, 6. So write a 6 over that. C is 4. Write a 4 over that. So our progression that we have here is a 1, 5, 6, 4. 1, 5, 6, 4. And then we're just ending up back on the 1 at the end. But that's our progression. 1, 5, 6, 4. So now let's go ahead and do the same thing for the key of E. So I'm going to reset all this. Again, if I was printing this out on my sheet music, I'd just, on the back or somewhere where there's a blank space, I'd write out a scale. We're in the key of E. So I'm going to start with an E. E, F, G. Starts back over to A, B, C, D, and then again we end on our E, our 1. Our 1's an E. So every time we see a 1, an E, we're gonna write a 1 over it. So there's a E here, put a 1. There's an E here, put a 1. B, we can look and see that a B is a 5. C sharp minor, we can look and see the C is a 6. A, we can look and see an A is a 4. So if you look at this again, now that we're looking at this with the numbers, we can see, oh, there's a pattern here. 1, 5, 6, 4. 1, 5, 6, 4. So these 2 songs, even though they're in different keys and different tempos, different melodies, they're the same chord progression. It's a 1, 5, 6, 4, which as you do this, you'll start to find that's a very, very common chord progression that you're going to hear in a lot of songs. So my whole point in doing this is that you're going to start to notice these patterns. Once you start to notice the pattern, you can hear the pattern, and then it's going to make your practice and your putting songs together much, much easier to do. So let's take a listen back to our songs again here. I'm going to mute the melody. I'm going to mute that high piano part. And we're just going to listen to just the pads and hear these chord progressions. I'll move my cursor over the screen again so we can hear they're in different keys but the same chord progression. So here's song 1 again. And then here's song 2. Song 1. Song 2. And that's it. So once you start doing this, it'll start to make more sense. It'll start to kind of seep into you, and you'll hear these patterns a lot better. Your practice will change for me now, and I've heard of people doing this before and never thought I could do it. I don't really have that great of an ear for music, but after doing this, I can listen to a song in the car and not have to take time away from my family or my friends or my work. Just on the way to work in my car, I can listen to a song. And a lot of times, if it's a really basic pattern like this, I can hear it and I can start to learn the songs without having to actually have my bass there with me to practice, because I'm more of training my ear. And then Saturday night, I can sit down and just do a quick run over the whole set list. But I already know it because I've learned it by ear, rather than going through and having to spend a lot of time on my bass. This is also really good. I used to be really bad at this. If a worship leader was sick and had to drop the key of the song because they couldn't physically sing that high, or change the song from a guy key to a girl key, vice versa, anything that would change, I'd get really frustrated because I'd learned the chords for all the songs. I didn't learn the numbers, and so when anything would change, I'd have to relearn the entire song. By doing this method, you are learning patterns, and you'll kind of change the way you even play your songs so that it makes it easier for you to transpose. So it's really, really helpful. I really hope you try it and see there is something different that happens with your worship leadership when you have memorized the songs, and it's just one less thing for you to think about when you're on stage. If your worship leader is really good, if you're trying to come up with interesting combinations, these are two completely separate songs. If you want to, you could make them into one song by just making them the same key and the same tempo, but the chord progressions will work for both melodies. So really, really helpful, really, really useful. I encourage you just to try it. Let me know how it goes for you. If you have any more questions, please let me know. You can leave a comment below, or you can email me directly at TechTuesday@AscensionWorship.com. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and please, please share this with your teams, with other churches. I really, really hope this is a helpful resource for you. Until next time, have a great week. Hey, this is Chad from Ascension Worship. Did you know that as an Ascension member church, you have access to a brand new worship song with free backing tracks and chord charts every month? On top of that, you can get discounts on audio, video, and lighting needs. So if your church needs equipment, installation, training, or even just advice, contact me directly at sales@ascensionworship.com, and we'd love to help you any way we can. Again, this is Chad from Ascension Worship. I hope this has been helpful for you and your team. Come back here every Tuesday for new information.